Some people walk into a room, and the air seems to shift. Eyes turn, conversations open. People feel drawn to them, not because they're the loudest, but because something in their energy makes others feel seen. That's social intelligence. It's the quiet power of understanding people, reading emotions, and responding with grace instead of reaction. It's not about charm or manipulation. It's about connection. When you master social intelligence, you stop chasing approval and start attracting respect. You become magnetic, not because you try to impress, but because you make others feel valued. Chapter 1: Understanding the core of social intelligence. Social intelligence begins where self-awareness ends. It's the moment you stop thinking about how you appear and start noticing how others feel around you. It's the ability to read the room without asking, to sense emotion without explanation, to communicate without pushing. Most people misunderstand social intelligence. They think it's about talking more, networking harder, collecting contacts. But true social intelligence is not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about sensitivity, to mood, to tone, to timing. It's the art of recognizing what to say, when to say it, and sometimes when to say nothing at all. Social intelligence is awareness in motion. It's emotional intelligence turned outward, the ability to understand others, adapt to them, and build trust naturally. Every human interaction carries an invisible rhythm. The socially intelligent person feels that rhythm instinctively. They don't force conversations, they flow with them. They don't dominate space, they balance it. You can't fake social intelligence for long. People feel authenticity before they hear it. You can rehearse lines, practice, smiles, but energy doesn't lie. If your interest is fake, your words will fall flat. Real connection begins with presence. To be socially intelligent, you must be present, truly present. That means no phone checking, no drifting mind, no pretending to listen while waiting for your turn to talk. When you're present, you make people feel important. And in a world starving for attention, that's the rarest gift you can give. People don't remember most of what you say. They remember how you made them feel. That's the foundation of social magnetism. If your presence calms others, if your energy feels safe, if your tone carries warmth, people will always gravitate toward you. Social intelligence isn't loud. It's quiet confidence. It's kindness without weakness. It's awareness without anxiety. It's influence without ego. The first pillar of social intelligence is observation. Watch how people respond to you. Watch their micro-expressions, the small tightening of lips, the glance away, the softened eyes. Those are clues. They reveal what words often hide. The second pillar is emotional adaptability. Different people need different energies from you. A strong communicator adjusts like water, soft when needed, strong when required. The third pillar is curiosity. People who are naturally interested in others become magnetic. They ask about experiences, not achievements. They listen not to collect stories, but to connect souls. And the final pillar, humility. You can't be socially intelligent if your ego drives your speech. Pride makes you talk at people. Humility makes you talk with them. In every interaction, ego asks, "How can I win?" Empathy asks, "How can I connect?" That one shift changes your entire social reality. Think of every person as a universe, complex, emotional, full of stories you haven't heard yet. Approach them with curiosity instead of conclusion. You'll be surprised how much the world opens up. Social intelligence also means knowing your energy's effect. You can't bring chaos into a room and expect peace to follow. You can't demand respect while radiating insecurity. Your energy teaches others how to treat you. Be the calm presence people crave in chaos. Speak with intention, not impulse. Lead with patience, not pride. Because when your energy feels balanced, people trust it. And trust is the invisible magnet of social life. Social intelligence also teaches restraint. You don't need to fill every silence. You don't need to correct every error. You don't need to prove your knowledge. Sometimes silence builds more respect than speech. In conversations, let others shine. People remember those who make them feel smart, not those who try to sound smarter. Socially intelligent people understand that validation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Saying "that's a great point" doesn't make you smaller. It makes you approachable. They also understand tone is everything. You can say the right thing in the wrong tone and still lose respect. But you can say the hard truth gently, and people will thank you for it. Tone builds bridges. Tone breaks them too. Social intelligence helps you build invisible harmony. When you speak, others listen without tension. When you listen, others feel safe to speak. When you disagree, they don't feel dismissed. That's connection. In every environment, workplace, relationship, community, social intelligence decides who thrives. Knowledge opens doors, but empathy keeps them open. People will always forget your title, but they'll never forget your tone. They'll forget your arguments, but they'll never forget your respect. Social intelligence makes you magnetic because it makes people feel valued. And value is the most powerful currency in human interaction. When people leave your presence feeling better than before, they'll always come back. Not for your charm, not for your success, but for your peace. That's how people magnetism works. You become someone others trust to be kind, to be calm, to be real. Social intelligence is not about pleasing everyone. It's about understanding everyone and treating them with consistent grace, even when you disagree, because grace builds harmony faster than argument ever will. So start today. Slow down, observe, listen fully, speak less but mean more, smile genuinely, respect boundaries, offer warmth where others bring walls. That's the beginning of true magnetism, not by trying to attract attention, but by giving it. Because people don't follow those who demand attention. They follow those who give understanding. And that is the quiet power of social intelligence. Few observe. Most people talk. Chapter 2, Reading People Like a Book. We live in a world where everyone wants to be understood, but very few take time to understand. And that's where the art of reading people begins. Not in manipulation, but in mindfulness. Reading people isn't about judging them and story behind silence. It's about understanding them, beyond their words, beyond their masks. It's seeing emotion behind behavior. You begin to notice what others miss. The slight change in tone. Social intelligence turns you into a quiet detective of human nature. The way someone smiles when they don't mean it. The delay before a response. These small signs reveal truth more than any speech ever can. Every human being leaves emotional fingerprints in every interaction. Their words might lie, but their body never does. You can read honesty in the shoulders, in the eyes, in the breath between sentences. To read people well, fast minds miss subtle details. You must first learn to slow down. Rushed conversations miss emotional layers. The socially intelligent person observes first, responds later. When someone speaks, don't just hear the words. Do they rush? Watch the rhythm. Do they hesitate? Each pattern reveals emotion. Do they repeat? A rushed voice hides anxiety. A steady one reveals trust. A soft one hides sadness. A sharp tone hides insecurity. Every tone tells a story, and stories are what connect us. Reading people is not about being right. When you can sense emotions early, it's about being aware. You prevent conflict before it begins. That's why socially intelligent people rarely get caught in unnecessary drama. They detect fatigue behind fake smiles. They sense tension in silence, and they shift their tone to bring balance. They don't react, they read. They don't accuse, they adjust. To read people like a book, you must first clear your own emotional lens. If you're full of ego, every action will seem like a challenge. If you're full of judgment, everything you see will be distorted. Empathy is your magnifying glass. It allows you to look at people not as problems to solve, but when your mind is calm, you see truth as it is. When someone folds their arms, it's not always defense, sometimes it's comfort, but as souls to understand. Watch body language. Reading people isn't about assumptions, it's about awareness. When they look away, it's not always guilt, sometimes it's shyness. You can't read people through stereotypes. You read them through patience, through silence, through observation. Every face tells a story. Every gesture carries emotion. The secret is to stay curious enough to notice. In workplaces, reading people well saves you from misunderstandings. You learn when a colleague is overwhelmed, but won't say it. You sense when a client is unsure but hiding behind confidence. You recognize when someone's "I'm fine" really means "I'm tired." It lets you meet people where they are, not where they pretend to be. That's the power of emotional perception. People reveal themselves in moments of transition, when they're interrupted, when they're praised, when they're under pressure. How they respond in those moments tells you who they are beneath the surface. Confidence under tension means control. Kindness under stress means strength. Silence during chaos means awareness. These patterns don't lie. Socially intelligent people read emotional energy before reacting to it. If the energy is low, they lift it. If the energy in the room is tense, they lower theirs. Because everyone craves emotional stability, and that balance makes them magnetic. They mirror peace instead of matching chaos. Everyone wants to be around someone who can hold space without judgment. To read people like a book, you must also learn emotional neutrality. It means you don't absorb what you observe. You can sense someone's sadness without drowning in it. You can stay centered even when others lose control. You can feel someone's anger without becoming angry. You notice more tone, posture, rhythm, emotion. When your emotions stay balanced, that stability makes your perception sharper. One moment means little, but repetition reveals truth. The same excuse repeated? Insecurity. Reading people is also about understanding patterns over time. The same joke at someone's expense? Hidden envy. The same silence after every question? Fear. Patterns speak louder than words. But you can't learn patterns without patience. Social intelligence isn't built overnight. It's refined through consistent observation. Sometimes, the best way to read someone is to let them talk. They tell you who they are in how they treat waiters. People reveal everything when you give them time. How they speak about others. The truth about character is always hidden in the small things. How they respond to disagreement. Listen for emotional truth. When someone stays quiet in groups, it's not indifference, it's caution. When someone complains often, it's not attention-seeking, it's connection-seeking. When someone brags constantly, it's not pride, it's insecurity. Because understanding leads to connection, and connection leads to trust. Social intelligence doesn't label these behaviors, it understands them. You no longer take things personally. You realize their anger says more about their pain than your mistake. When you can read people with empathy, and that realization brings peace. Reading people also helps you communicate more effectively. Their rudeness says more about their fear than your worth. You tailor your tone to their emotion. You adjust your words to their mood. You sense when to push and when to pause. Say the right thing too early, it sounds intrusive. And timing is everything in communication. You become fluent in emotional timing. Say the right thing too late, it sounds indifferent. But say it when the heart is ready, it lands perfectly. That's the rhythm of human understanding. Every conversation carries invisible cues. The slow blink that says "I'm processing." The subtle lean forward that says "I trust you." Learn to read those signals, and you'll never misread a situation again. Reading people like a book is not about control. The sigh that says "I'm tired," it's about compassion. You don't say, "You're wrong." It's about responding with awareness instead of assumption. You say, "I understand why you feel that way." You don't say, "Calm down." You say, "I can see this matters to you." That's emotional fluency, the ability to speak the unspoken. People trust those who make them feel understood. They open up faster. They cooperate easier. They communicate better, not through their words, because deep down, every human wants to feel seen, but through their truth. You become unforgettable. And when you master that, you don't just become a good communicator. People won't remember the exact words you said. They'll say, "I don't know why, but I feel comfortable around you." But they'll remember that you got them. That comfort is your social power. The greatest communicators are not the ones who speak beautifully. They're the ones who listen beautifully. They make others feel safe enough to reveal who they are. That's what makes someone magnetic. You can't fake that kind of presence. You can't script that kind of empathy. It comes from inner calm, from true curiosity, from respect for humanity. And when you carry that energy, because you read people, but never judge them, you become someone everyone trusts. That's the secret. You read with your heart, not just your eyes. You notice, but you don't invade. You simply see people, you understand, but you don't manipulate. And in a world full of noise, that's the rarest kind of intelligence. Chapter 3: Mastering First Impressions. The first few seconds can define everything. Before a single word leaves your mouth, people already decide who you are. It's unfair, but it's human. First impressions are not about looks, they're about energy. It's the invisible message your presence sends before your voice even begins to speak. Every person carries an emotional frequency. When you walk into a room, that frequency either draws people in or pushes them away. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Social intelligence teaches you that people don't respond to perfection. They respond to authenticity. They don't remember the perfect suit or the clever line. They remember how you made them feel in those first few seconds. Confidence without arrogance. Warmth without overstepping. Calm without distance. That's the balance of magnetic presence. When you meet someone for the first time, your energy speaks before your words do. Your posture tells a story. Your eyes reveal intention. Your tone sets the temperature of the interaction. If your shoulders are tense, your tone sharp, your attention scattered, you send signals of insecurity, even if your words sound confident. But if your energy feels open, your smile relaxed, your eyes attentive, you instantly create ease. People gravitate toward those who make them feel safe. That safety isn't about physical comfort, it's emotional. It's the quiet assurance that you're not here to judge, compete, or dominate. You can't fake that. It comes from inner calm, because the energy you bring into an interaction always reflects the conversation you're having with yourself. If you're anxious inside, others will feel it. If you're grounded, they'll mirror it. That's why the first step to mastering first impressions begins long before the meeting. It begins in your mindset. Before walking into any room, center yourself. Breathe. Slow down. Remind yourself, you're not there to prove your worth. You're there to share your presence. That mental shift changes everything. People who try to impress come off as tense. People who simply connect come off as magnetic. The socially intelligent person understands that connection is never about control, it's about comfort. When you make others comfortable, they trust you faster. And trust, once built, turns first impressions into long-term bonds. The secret lies in simplicity. You don't need big gestures. You don't need dramatic words. You just need to be fully there. Look people in the eye. Not as a tactic, but as a human. A genuine look tells someone, "I see you." A shallow glance says, "I'm waiting for my turn." Your presence tells people whether they matter. And in a world starved for attention, that's what makes you unforgettable. First impressions are shaped by tone more than content. A warm tone can make even disagreement sound like respect. A cold tone can make even compliments sound empty. So speak softly, not weakly softly. Softness carries strength when it's sincere. When you first meet someone, resist the urge to fill silence. Let space breathe. People open up when they don't feel rushed. They trust when they sense patience. In the first few minutes, listen more than you speak. Curiosity builds connection faster than confidence ever will. Ask simple, sincere questions. Not scripted ones. Not mechanical ones, but human ones. How's your day been? What brought you here? Small but real. And when they answer, don't just hear their words. Listen to their tone. Are they tired? Excited? Distracted? Meet their energy before you lead it. Socially intelligent people don't walk into a room trying to dominate it. They harmonize with it. They adjust their rhythm until connection feels natural. That's what makes them magnetic, not the loudest voice, but the most aligned presence. The way you make your entrance matters. Walk with composure. Move with intention. Not rushed. Not hesitant. When your movement is calm, people subconsciously feel you're in control of yourself. Control of self creates trust. Because if you can manage your own presence, people believe you can handle theirs. Body language shapes first impressions more than words ever can. A straight posture signals confidence. A relaxed expression signals openness. Uncrossed arms signal trust. These signals happen within seconds, too fast for logic, but powerful enough to decide rapport. Even your breathing communicates. Shallow breath shows tension. Deep, steady breathing radiates peace. That peace becomes contagious. First impressions aren't about impressing others, they're about expressing truth. Authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. People can sense pretense instantly. They might not know why, but they'll feel the distance. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be the most real. You need to be the one who listens with heart, speaks with clarity, and smiles without agenda. That's how real connection starts. Social intelligence also teaches awareness of timing. Sometimes the best way to make a great impression is to wait. Let others finish. Let conversations breathe. Patience feels powerful in a world that rushes. The first words you speak after a pause carry more weight than 10 minutes of rushed talk. Because presence gives power to simplicity. When you compliment someone, make it specific and grounded. Don't flatter, recognize. Say, I really appreciated how calmly you handled that, not you're amazing. Specific appreciation shows sincerity. Generic praise feels empty. People don't crave applause, they crave acknowledgement. They want to be seen accurately, not excessively. Every interaction leaves an emotional echo. A strong first impression isn't about drama, it's about dignity. It's the subtle elegance of being kind, composed and confident. That's why the best communicators carry quiet power. They don't chase approval, they radiate assurance. They don't try to impress, they leave impact. Remember, people decide in seconds how they feel around you, but they confirm it over time. Your first impression opens the door. Your consistency keeps it open. So after the first meeting, follow through with the same warmth, the same calm tone, the same level of attention, because the strongest first impressions are those that never fade. Social intelligence teaches that influence isn't built in one moment, it's built in repetition. Be reliable in your energy. Be predictable in your respect. Be steady in your kindness. That's how you become the person everyone feels good around. You become the calm in the crowd, the balance in the noise, the voice people remember even after the meeting ends. People rarely recall your words, but they always remember your vibration. They remember the way their heartbeat slowed when you listened, the way they felt seen in your silence, the way your tone softened their guard. That's what first impressions are really about, emotional memory. It's not about being perfect. It's about being peaceful. You don't have to try too hard. You just have to show up fully. Present, calm, kind, consistent. Because in the end, The best first impression isn't one that says, "Look at me." It's one that says, "I see you." And once people feel seen. Chapter 4. The subtle art of body language. Before you say a single word, your body has already spoken. It tells the world how you feel, what you believe, and whether you can be trusted. Most people think communication begins with speech. It doesn't. It begins with presence. Every gesture, every glance, every movement writes a silent story, and those stories are louder than words. Social intelligence is not just about what you say, it's how you say it without saying anything, because your body never lies. It reflects your truth even when your words try to hide it. When you walk into a room, people read your body language before they read your resume. Your posture tells them your confidence level. Your eyes tell them your attention. Your hands tell them your intention. The socially intelligent person knows how to align their body with their message. They don't fake signals, they refine them. They understand that authenticity makes posture powerful. Body language is energy made visible. It's emotion in motion. And if you can learn to read and project it correctly, you can connect with anyone, anywhere, without even speaking a word. The power of presence. Presence is the starting point of body language. When you're mentally scattered, your body shows it. Your eyes wander. Your posture collapses. Your movements lose rhythm. But when you're grounded, your body follows. Your shoulders relax. Your breathing slows. Your eyes soften. That's what real presence looks like. People feel it when you're fully there. They sense when your mind isn't racing ahead or replaying the past. Presence radiates peace, and peace is magnetic. The body follows the mind. So if you want your presence to feel strong, fix your inner dialogue first. You can't hide tension behind a smile. You can't fake calm through posture. What's inside always leaks outside. True body language mastery starts with emotional awareness. When your emotions are calm, your body becomes your ally. It supports your message instead of contradicting it. The language of the eyes. Your eyes are the first connection point. They're small, but they speak volumes. Too much eye contact feels like aggression. Too little feels like avoidance. Balance feels like trust. The socially intelligent communicator uses eye contact, like music, in rhythm. They don't stare. They don't scan. They engage. A steady, soft gaze says, "I'm here, I'm listening." A wandering eye says, "I'm waiting for this to end." When your eyes stay calm, you make others feel safe. And safety creates connection faster than words ever can. Your eyes can also reflect empathy. They can say, "I understand," even before you speak. They can reassure, comfort, or motivate without a sound. That's why in true connection, the eyes do more work than the mouth. The power of posture. Posture is silent confidence. It communicates whether you respect yourself and whether others should. Stand straight, not stiff. Relax your shoulders. Breathe deeply. Move with intention. When your posture is aligned, your energy feels stable. People instinctively trust you. A slouched body whispers insecurity. A tight body screams anxiety. But a balanced one says, "I'm calm. I belong here." Posture also sets tone in every environment. In the workplace, good posture signals competence. In social spaces, it signals approachability. You don't need to look dominant, you need to look centered. That's the quiet power people notice first. The role of the hands. Hands are emotional translators. They express what the heart feels before the brain filters it. Watch anyone who speaks passionately. Their hands move with meaning. They're not random, they're rhythm. Open palms mean openness. Hidden hands signal guardedness. Clenched fists show tension. Subtle gestures show balance. When you talk with calm, natural hand movements, you project authenticity. You don't look rehearsed, you look real. Socially intelligent communicators keep their gestures aligned with their tone. They never overdo it. They never fake excitement. They move with emotional truth. The human brain is wired to notice congruence. When words, tone, and movement align, that alignment is what makes communication powerful. If you say, "I'm confident," but your body shrinks, people won't believe you. If you say, "I care," but your arms stay crossed, the message dies before it lands. Your body is the proof your words need. The space between. Body language isn't just about what you do. It's also about what you don't do. The pauses, the stillness, the space you give others. Silence in the body communicates as much as motion. When you hold still and listen, people feel heard. When you rush, they feel dismissed. Physical space also shapes emotional safety. Stand too close, and people retreat. Stand too far, and connection fades. Social intelligence teaches you to read proximity like emotion. Respect personal boundaries, but stay emotionally near. That's how you create comfort, through balance, micro-expressions, and emotional honesty. Every face tells a story in fragments of seconds. The raised eyebrow of doubt, the micro-smile of agreement, the tight jaw of stress. These tiny signals reveal what words often hide. When you pay attention, you start to see truth beneath politeness. You notice when someone's sure really means not really. You sense when they agree out of fear, not conviction. That awareness changes how you respond. Instead of arguing, you align. Instead of pushing, you pause. You let empathy lead the next move. Social intelligence is about emotional accuracy, understanding feelings as they happen, not as they're said. You can't control others' emotions, but you can guide the atmosphere through your own. Your facial expression can reset tension in a room. A soft smile can neutralize negativity. A calm expression can restore safety. That's the hidden power of body language. It regulates emotion without words. The energy you radiate. Every person carries a vibration, a subtle emotional field that others can sense instantly. You can't fake your energy. You can't hide your tension. People might not understand it logically, but they feel it emotionally. That's why presence matters more than perfection. If your inner world is peaceful, your outer world follows. If your heart is grounded, your energy attracts. The socially intelligent person takes responsibility for their energy before entering any space. They know energy is contagious. They bring calm where others bring chaos. They bring steadiness where others bring stress. Because communication isn't just about words, it's about the emotion you leave behind. If people feel lighter after meeting you, you've spoken the right body language, even in silence. Congruence, the ultimate goal. The real art of body language lies in congruence. When what you say, how you say it, and how you move all tell the same story, people trust you. Misalignment creates discomfort. If your words are warm but your body feels cold, people pull away. If your message is strong but your voice shakes, people doubt. Congruence is integrity made visible. It's truth flowing through your entire being. When your words, tone, and body align, you don't need to convince anyone. They feel it. That's what makes you magnetic. People don't trust perfect communicators. They trust consistent ones. They trust those whose bodies and words match. So let your body speak the same language as your soul. Let your stillness say, "I'm centered." Let your eyes say, "I care." Let your posture say, "I'm present." That alignment turns communication into connection. The unspoken influence. Body language isn't a performance. It's a reflection of who you are becoming. As your inner confidence grows, your body naturally communicates peace. You don't have to think about every movement. You just have to think about your mindset. Because a calm mind creates calm gestures. A kind heart creates open energy. And people feel both long before they realize why. In every room your body speaks. Make sure it tells the truth. Because when your body and your energy are honest, you don't need to talk your way into people's trust. You simply earn it by being real. That's the subtle art of body language. Not loud, not forced, just quietly powerful. It's the way your presence whispers before your words arrive. It's how your energy speaks in silence. And it's how you become unforgettable, not through what you say, but through who you are when you say nothing at all. Chapter 5. Building emotional connection. Real connection doesn't happen through words. It happens through emotion. You can talk to someone for hours and feel nothing, or share a few quiet minutes and feel everything. That's the difference between conversation and connection. Emotional connection is what makes people stay. It's the invisible bond that forms when two hearts understand each other without trying. It's not built by effort, it's built by presence. In a world full of noise, connection is silence that feels safe. You don't have to be impressive to connect. You just have to be real. You don't have to have the right answers. You just have to have the right heart. Social intelligence teaches that emotional connection is not about what you say. It's about how you make others feel when you say it. Connection begins when people feel understood, not agreed with, not praised, understood. When someone feels, "You get me," their guard disappears. And once the guard is down, trust begins. Trust is the doorway to every meaningful relationship, personal or professional. Without trust, no communication works. With it, even silence can heal. So how do you build emotional connection? It starts with listening. Not passive listening, empathic listening. Listening that feels like presence, where your eyes, your tone, your stillness all say, "I'm here." When you listen deeply, people open their hearts without fear, because they feel your attention, not your agenda. They feel your care, not your curiosity. Listening is how you love without words. Socially intelligent people don't listen to reply. They listen to receive. They absorb emotion. They reflect calm. They validate without pretending to fix. They know that sometimes people don't need solutions. They need space. They need to feel that what they feel is allowed. Emotional connection thrives in that kind of safety. When you create a space where people can be honest, they return to you again and again, not because they need answers, but because they need peace. That's the power of being emotionally present. You become a mirror that doesn't judge, only reflects. You become the calm voice that says, "You're not alone." Emotional connection is not manipulation. It's not charm. It's respect for another soul's humanity. It's built slowly, through kindness, through patience, through consistency. You can't rush it. You can only earn it. The strongest connections grow through small gestures. A thoughtful tone, a remembering of details, a genuine check-in. People notice when you remember. They notice when you care without agenda. That's what makes them trust you. Because in a world full of people who talk, the one who listens stands out. Emotional connection is also built through vulnerability. You can't connect deeply if you never open up. You don't need to reveal everything. You just need to be real. When you show imperfection, you invite honesty. When you admit fear, you invite courage. When you say, "I don't know," you invite authenticity. Vulnerability doesn't weaken connection, it deepens it. Because it turns communication into truth. Pretending always pushes people away. It creates a wall that no amount of words can break. But honesty opens the door instantly. The key to connection is emotional reciprocity, the balance between giving and receiving emotion. If you only give and never allow yourself to feel, connection becomes duty. If you only take and never give, connection becomes weight. True connection lives in balance, a rhythm of understanding, sharing, and trust. Socially intelligent people maintain that rhythm with ease. They don't overextend. They don't overattach. They stay open, but grounded. That's why people feel safe around them. Because their emotional stability becomes a shelter. To build emotional connection, you must speak the language of empathy. Empathy is not pity. It's not feeling sorry for someone. It's feeling with them. It's understanding the emotion underneath the behavior. Empathy says, I see why you feel this way. It doesn't argue, correct, or dismiss. It connects. When you communicate with empathy, people don't feel judged. They feel understood. And understanding is the foundation of emotional bonding. Words matter, but tone matters more. You can say, "I care," 1,000 times, but if your energy feels distracted, the heart won't believe it. But one quiet, sincere moment can communicate more than all the right phrases combined. That's the paradox of connection. You can't force it. You can only allow it. Sometimes connection happens through shared laughter. Sometimes through silence. Sometimes through a single look that says everything words cannot. And those are the moments that last. People don't remember every detail of your conversation, but they remember how their chest felt lighter when you spoke. They remember how you made them believe they mattered. They remember how they could breathe around you. That's emotional connection. It's not performance. It's peace. You can't build it by being the smartest person in the room. You build it by being the safest. When people trust that you won't use their weakness against them, they open up. When they sense you don't need to prove anything, they relax. When they see you care without control, they connect. That's what it means to be a people magnet, not to impress, but to embrace. Not to collect attention, but to create trust. Emotional connection also depends on presence through discomfort. When someone shares pain, don't rush to erase it. Just be there. People feel healing through patience more than advice. Silence, when held with care, becomes medicine. True emotional connection doesn't end when things get hard. It strengthens. Because real connection isn't convenience, it's commitment to understanding. The socially intelligent person stays emotionally steady through storms. They don't withdraw when others cry. They don't panic when others break. They hold space. That space becomes safety. That's the beauty of connection. You don't have to fix anyone to love them. You just have to stay present long enough for them to find peace on their own. The more you practice this kind of presence, the deeper your relationships grow. People begin to associate your presence with calm. Your energy becomes their relief, and your silence becomes their comfort. That's influence, not through words, but through feeling. Emotional connection isn't built in hours, it's built in moments. Moments where you choose to stay instead of scroll. Moments where you choose to listen instead of talk. Moments where you choose to care without expecting anything in return. Those moments create the emotional thread that ties people to you. Not out of obligation, but out of gratitude. Because everyone remembers the one who made them feel human again. The truth is, connection isn't a skill, it's a presence. It's who you are when you stop performing. Be kind without condition. Be real without fear. Be calm without control. And you'll find that connection doesn't have to be chased. It will find you. Because emotional energy always finds its match. And when yours radiates warmth, the world naturally leans closer. That's how you build emotional connections. Not by trying harder, but by being truer. Because when your heart is real, your presence speaks louder than any voice ever could. Chapter 6. The Power of Listening with Intention. Most people hear. Very few truly listen. Hearing is easy. Listening takes strength. Because real listening requires presence, patience, and humility. 3 things that most people rush past. Social intelligence begins with listening. Because communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how deeply you understand what's being said to you. The power of listening doesn't lie in the ear. It lies in the heart. It's the ability to receive another person's emotion without interruption, without judgment, without the urge to respond right away. Listening is emotional respect in action. It tells someone, your feelings matter here. Your words are safe here. And that feeling of safety, that's what turns conversation into connection. When you listen with intention, you give people something rare, your full attention. No divided focus, no pretending, just presence. In a world of distractions, attention has become the purest form of love. The truth is, people don't need you to fix them. They need you to hear them. They need to feel that their emotions make sense, that they're not invisible, that they don't have to shout to be understood. That's what intentional listening gives: emotional oxygen. When you listen deeply, you help people breathe. You help them process what they couldn't say to themselves. You help them release what's been sitting unspoken. You don't need to be wise to heal someone. You just need to be quiet. Silence, when held with empathy, is louder than any advice. Socially intelligent people understand this. They don't rush to speak. They don't interrupt stories. They don't fill every pause. They let space breathe, because they know connection grows in the quiet between words. Listening with intention isn't passive, it's active compassion. It's leaning in. It's softening your tone. It's letting your eyes stay calm and focused. It's saying, without saying, "I'm with you." That's the kind of listening that changes relationships. It changes conversations from debates into understanding. It turns conflict into clarity. It transforms walls into doors. Because when people feel heard, their anger fades, their anxiety slows, their defensiveness dissolves. Listening heals what arguments never can. Listening beyond words. Words are only the surface. True listening happens underneath. It's in the tone, the pauses, the sighs. You can learn more from what someone doesn't say than from everything they say. A long silence might mean hesitation. A trembling voice might mean fear. A repetitive sentence might mean pain, trying to find release. When you listen beneath the noise, you begin to understand what the heart is really saying. That's the difference between sympathy and understanding. Sympathy listens to comfort. Understanding listens to connect. Socially intelligent people don't just hear problems, they sense emotions. They ask themselves quietly, what is this person really trying to express? They listen like detectives of emotion, gently decoding what words fail to capture. Because sometimes the human heart speaks in whispers, and only stillness can hear it. The discipline of silence. To listen well, you must learn to silence the ego. Ego wants to interrupt. It wants to give advice, to prove wisdom, to fix. But listening is not about proving. It's about holding space. You don't need to fill every pause. Let people think. Let emotions unfold naturally. Silence is not emptiness. It's presence without pressure. When you can hold silence without discomfort, you create peace in conversation. Because most people aren't used to being listened to without expectation. They're used to half attention, to distracted replies, to fake interest. That's why deep listening feels sacred, because it's rare. People begin to trust you not because you said the right thing, but because you gave them space to feel safe enough to say their truth. That's power, the quiet kind. The energy of listening. Every conversation carries emotion. When you listen, you absorb some of that energy. That's why intentional listening also requires emotional strength. You must stay grounded. You can't drown in someone else's storm. You can care deeply without losing balance. Social intelligence teaches this balance. To feel with people, not for them. To stay compassionate, not consumed. Because if you lose your calm, you lose your clarity. And clarity is the gift you bring when you listen with peace. When your energy is steady, others release their chaos. They feel lighter just by being near you. That's how listening becomes leadership. The calm listener becomes the emotional anchor of any space. They don't have to lead with authority. They lead with awareness. And awareness always earns trust. The mirror effect. When you listen with full attention, people mirror your energy. Your calm becomes their calm. Your stillness slows their breath. Your patience invites their honesty. It's a natural reflection. People talk differently when they feel seen. Their words soften. Their tone steadies. Their defenses fade. The human nervous system relaxes in the presence of understanding. That's not philosophy, that's biology. Your listening becomes a healing frequency. You regulate emotions simply by being present. That's why the best communicators are not those who speak beautifully. They're those who listen beautifully. Listening builds trust. Trust doesn't come from agreement. It comes from understanding. When people realize you're truly listening, they let down their guard. They start sharing more openly. They start asking for your perspective. They start including you in decisions. Because they sense you won't misuse their words. They sense your presence isn't performative, it's genuine. Listening builds the kind of respect that can't be faked. It says, I value your mind, I honor your heart. And that's the essence of trust. When trust is built, communication becomes effortless. You don't have to demand honesty, it flows naturally. You don't have to force loyalty, it grows quietly. Listening becomes the soil where all good relationships grow. The gift of reflection. Listening doesn't end when someone stops speaking. True listeners reflect back what they heard, gently, thoughtfully. Not to repeat, but to reassure. You can say, it sounds like you've been carrying a lot lately. Or, I can see why that would feel heavy. Those small phrases tell people, I heard you, I understood you. Reflection isn't about echoing words. It's about affirming emotions. It's like holding a mirror up to someone's heart, so they can see themselves clearly again. And in that clarity, healing begins. That's the unseen magic of intentional listening. It helps people hear their own truth out loud. Listening as leadership. In leadership, the ability to listen decides the quality of your influence. People follow those who make them feel heard. They respect those who value their voice. A good leader speaks clearly. A great leader listens deeply. When a leader listens with intention, they gather insight others miss. They detect problems before they explode. They sense emotions before they turn into conflict. Listening gives you information that power never could. Because while authority commands obedience, understanding earns devotion. Listening makes leadership human. Listening to yourself. The deepest form of listening is inward. Before you can truly listen to others, you must learn to listen to yourself, to your fatigue, to your intuition, to the quiet voice that says, pause. When you ignore your own emotions, you lose sensitivity to others. But when you stay tuned to your inner rhythm, you naturally align with the rhythm of people around you. Self-listening creates balance. It reminds you that peace is not silence. It's understanding without noise. The more you listen to yourself with compassion, the better you listen to others with empathy. Listening with intention transforms everything. It deepens trust. It softens conflict. It restores relationships. It turns ordinary communication into emotional connection. Because people don't remember what you said. They remember how safe they felt saying it to you. When you listen like that, you become rare. You become the calm people crave. The quiet space they never knew they needed. That's the true power of listening. Not in hearing sound, but in holding emotion. Not in understanding words, but in understanding hearts. And when you master that, you don't just become a better communicator, you become a better human being. Because the greatest gift you can give anyone is the space to be heard, the safety to be honest, and the feeling that their story matters. That's what intentional listening does. It heals without trying. It connects without demanding. It transforms without effort. And in a world that's constantly talking, you'll stand out. Not because of how well you speak, but because of how beautifully you listen. Chapter 7. Understanding Social Energy. Every person carries an energy, silent, invisible, yet powerful enough to change a room. Before you speak, before you move, people feel it. Your energy introduces you long before your words do. That's social energy. It's not what you say, it's what you radiate. It's the atmosphere you bring, the emotional weather you create. You can walk into a space and make it lighter. You can also make it heavier. And most of the time you're doing it without even realizing. Social intelligence begins when you learn to sense and manage that energy, both yours and others. Every conversation is an exchange of energy. Words are just carriers.
What truly travels between people is emotion.
It's the feeling beneath the tone, the vibration beneath the voice. That's why sometimes you leave a conversation feeling inspired, and other times you feel drained, even if the topic was simple. It wasn't the words. It was the energy. Socially intelligent people are energy aware. They notice how they affect a space. They can walk into chaos and bring calm, or walk into silence and bring life. They know that leadership doesn't always require volume, sometimes it just requires vibration. The energy you bring, your social energy, is a reflection of your inner state. If your thoughts are restless, your presence feels uneasy. If your mind is peaceful, your energy becomes healing. People subconsciously respond to that state. They read your energy through posture, tone, and micro-movement. They feel it in the rhythm of your speech, in your breathing, in your gaze. You can't fake good energy. You can only cultivate it. The way you think becomes the way you feel. The way you feel becomes the way you affect others. That's why the most powerful people are calm. Not because nothing happens around them, but because nothing controls what happens within them. When your inner world is steady, your outer world follows. Social intelligence is emotional control extended outward. It's knowing that you set the tone wherever you go. If you walk in angry, energy contracts. If you walk in calm, energy opens. People mirror what they feel from you. Your presence becomes a permission slip for how others act. If you're composed, they relax. If you're tense, they mirror that tension back. That's why you must become intentional with your energy. Before walking into any room, ask yourself, what do I want people to feel in my presence? Because your energy is your message, even when you're silent. The energy you absorb, just as you project energy, you also absorb it. You're constantly exchanging emotion with everyone around you, family, co-workers, strangers. That's why sometimes, after spending time with certain people, you feel exhausted. They drain you, not because they speak too much, but because their energy demands more than it gives. Social intelligence teaches awareness. You can care without carrying, help without absorbing, listen without losing yourself. You can stand close to pain and still stay centered. You can comfort others without emptying your own spirit. It's not selfish to protect your energy. It's responsible. Because if your energy becomes unstable, your communication will too. You'll react faster, listen less, and lose emotional clarity. Staying balanced means staying aware of what you allow in. Not every conversation deserves your spirit. Not every environment deserves your peace. The socially intelligent person learns to ground themselves. They breathe before they speak. They pause before they absorb. They reflect before they respond. That's how they remain calm, even in chaos. Reading social energy. Reading energy is an unspoken skill, one that the emotionally wise master quietly. Every room has its rhythm. You can feel it the moment you enter. Some rooms buzz with excitement. Some feel heavy with tension. Some feel cold, disconnected. Some feel warm, open, alive. You don't need to be psychic to sense it. You just need to notice. Socially intelligent people read these rhythms intuitively. They sense whether a team is in sync or out of balance. They feel when someone's words don't match their energy. They can detect when a smile hides frustration or when silence hides peace. Because energy always tells the truth, even when words lie. When you can read energy, you can lead better. You can sense who needs space and who needs attention. You can tell when it's time to push and when it's time to pause. You communicate not just with words but with presence. Managing group energy. In groups, energy spreads faster than words. One person's frustration can infect the entire team. One person's calm can restore balance to everyone. Energy is contagious, both ways. That's why leadership is less about authority and more about emotional influence. The energy you bring to a meeting, a project, or even a simple greeting can shape the outcome before logic even begins. If you bring anxiety, the group feels unstable. If you bring enthusiasm, the group feels alive. If you bring stillness, the group feels safe. Managing social energy means knowing when to amplify and when to absorb. Sometimes the moment calls for energy that lifts others. Sometimes it calls for energy that grounds them. The socially intelligent person becomes a human thermostat. They don't react to the temperature, they regulate it. That's what makes them unforgettable in every space they enter. They don't just speak well. They feel right. Protecting your energy. Your energy is your emotional currency. Spend it wisely. You don't owe your peace to every conversation. You don't have to match every vibration. You don't need to lower yourself to fit chaos. You protect your energy, not by closing off, but by staying clear inside. When you protect your energy, you preserve your clarity. And clarity makes your communication sharper. Toxic environments will always exist, but your peace doesn't have to depend on them. Your calm can coexist with their noise, as long as you stay rooted in awareness. Protecting your energy means knowing your emotional limits. It means taking quiet moments to recharge. It means surrounding yourself with people who fill, not drain. And it means remembering that your peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity, because the more peaceful you are, the more powerful your presence becomes. The law of vibration. Like attracts like. That's not just philosophy, it's physics. Your energy attracts people who resonate with it. If you radiate calm, you attract calm. If you radiate drama, you attract drama. If you radiate peace, you attract depth. That's why changing your energy changes your circle. Your environment will start to shift to match your vibration. Socially intelligent people know this law well. They don't chase people, they adjust their energy. And the right people find them naturally. Because people don't connect with your words first. They connect with your energy. You become magnetic, not by forcing connection, but by embodying peace. Energy speaks louder than appearance, louder than credentials, louder than promises. It's the silent frequency of your soul that people feel before they know your name. Energy and emotion. Emotion and energy are twins. Emotion is energy in motion. If you suppress emotion, your energy becomes blocked. If you express emotion with awareness, your energy flows freely. That's why emotional honesty matters. You can't hide resentment behind a smile for long. Your body and your energy will reveal it anyway. Social intelligence is about releasing, not repressing. You acknowledge what you feel. You learn from it. Then you let it go. That's how your energy stays light and authentic. People can feel when your energy is heavy with unspoken emotion. They sense it instantly, even if they don't understand it. But they can also feel when your energy is pure. When your words carry truth and no hidden weight. That's what makes your presence healing. The energy of gratitude. If you want to reset your social energy instantly, practice gratitude. Gratitude softens energy. It realigns emotion. It reminds you that peace isn't found in control, it's found in appreciation. When you walk into spaces grateful, people feel your humility. When you speak from gratitude, your tone changes, your eyes brighten, your energy expands. Gratitude turns interaction into harmony, because thankfulness carries calmness. And calm energy is what people crave in a noisy world. The magnetic field of presence. When your energy is clean, when your mind is calm, your body grounded, your intention clear, you create a magnetic field around you. People feel drawn to you without knowing why. They feel safe. They feel heard even before speaking. They feel lighter simply standing near you. That's not magic, that's alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy move in the same direction, you become a force of peace. Social intelligence at its highest level is not manipulation. It's alignment. It's emotional honesty, so clear that others trust it instantly. That's why people who master social energy don't chase influence. They embody it. They don't try to impress, they inspire. They don't demand respect, they radiate it. Because when your energy is true, it speaks louder than your words ever could. Becoming energy aware. To master social intelligence, you must become energy aware. Pay attention to how you feel after every interaction. If you feel drained, check what you gave away. If you feel full, notice what you received. Energy awareness is emotional maturity. It helps you choose your circles wisely. It helps you stay balanced through noise. When you understand social energy, you stop reacting to people. You start responding to patterns. You stop taking moods personally. You start reading environments professionally. That's what makes you magnetic. Your stability in a world addicted to chaos. You become the calm center everyone orbits around. Not because you're trying to control energy, but because you've mastered your own. And when your energy is steady, your communication becomes effortless. Your presence becomes medicine. Your silence becomes strength. Your calm becomes contagious. That's the true mastery of social energy. To influence without trying, to connect without forcing, to inspire without speaking. Because in the end, people don't remember what you said. They remember how they felt when you walked into the room. And if that feeling was peace, you've already mastered the highest form of communication. Chapter 8. The Unspoken Rules of Social Grace. There's a rhythm to human connection. It's not written in any book. It's not taught in classrooms. But the ones who master it, they glide through life with ease. This rhythm is called social grace. It's the invisible code that makes interaction flow effortlessly. It's how you move through the world with respect, warmth, and balance. It's what makes people feel comfortable in your presence, what makes them remember you long after you've left. Social grace isn't about being perfect. It's about being kind without agenda. It's about knowing when to speak, when to pause, when to listen, and when to simply let the moment breathe. It's not performance, it's awareness in motion. When you carry social grace, you don't chase attention. Attention finds you. You don't force belonging, people naturally want to include you. Because grace is quiet influence. It's strength wrapped in gentleness. It's confidence without arrogance. In those who live with it, they don't just communicate, they elevate every room they enter. The aura of respect. Respect is the foundation of social grace. It's not about hierarchy, it's about humanity. Every person wants to feel seen. Every person wants to feel valued. When you speak to others with presence, when your tone carries dignity instead of dominance, you make people feel worthy. And when people feel worthy around you, they trust you. Graceful communication starts with small gestures. A calm greeting, a genuine smile, a moment of pause before speaking. You don't rush. You don't interrupt. You don't dominate conversation to prove knowledge. You create space, and in that space, people unfold. Respect is not about lowering yourself. It's about lifting others. It's about meeting everyone from a janitor to a CEO with the same energy of presence. That equality of tone is what creates emotional harmony. The graceful person doesn't speak down or over. They speak with. They don't flatter. They affirm. They don't correct to win. They guide to understand. That's how respect becomes an experience, not a word. The power of timing. Social grace is also about rhythm, the unseen timing of speech, silence, and response. There's a beauty in knowing when to talk and when to wait. Some people rush to fill silence, but the socially intelligent know that silence often speaks first. They wait before reacting. They let words land. They let emotions settle. That pause, that breath between, is what separates emotional control from impulsive reaction. When you master timing, your presence feels calm, your words feel measured, and your influence feels effortless. Because in that pause, you show emotional maturity. Graceful people understand that not every comment needs a counter, not every mistake needs correction, not every argument deserves a response. Sometimes silence is the most powerful form of intelligence. Tone, the true language of grace. Words carry information. Tone carries emotion. People forget what you said, but they never forget how your tone made them feel. Graceful communication lives in tone, in softness without weakness, in clarity without aggression, in empathy without condescension. Your tone can either close hearts or open them. It can make someone defensive or make them feel safe. That's why social grace begins with emotional regulation. When your tone stays calm, even under pressure, you teach others how to stay calm too. Your voice becomes a mirror of peace. It makes people lower their guard. That's leadership in its purest form, not through command, but through emotional stability. Graceful people know that the loudest voice rarely wins. The calmest one does. The subtle art of presence. Presence is the soul of grace. When you're fully there, not half on your phone, not lost in your thoughts, people feel it. They feel your attention as energy. They feel your interest as warmth. True presence is rare, and that's what makes it magnetic. You can't fake it. You can't pretend to care and expect connection. People feel the difference between genuine presence and polite distraction. When you're truly present, you don't have to impress anyone. Your stillness does it for you. Presence says, I see you, I'm listening. You matter right now, and that's what every human heart craves. Social grace is the mastery of small moments, of being so fully engaged that others feel they exist more fully in your presence. Emotional subtlety. Social grace lives in emotional subtlety, the ability to express truth without creating discomfort. It's knowing how to disagree without disrespect, how to give feedback without hurting pride, how to hold boundaries without coldness. It's emotional precision, choosing honesty that heals, not honesty that wounds. The graceful person doesn't avoid truth. They deliver it with empathy. They speak clearly, but kindly. They don't use words as weapons. They use them as bridges. When they say no, it still feels respectful. When they say yes, it feels sincere. That's emotional mastery, to protect both your integrity and the dignity of others at the same time. Body language of grace. Grace isn't only heard, it's seen. Your posture speaks. Your gestures echo. Your eyes communicate tone before your words do. A graceful person moves with awareness. They don't fidget. They don't invade personal space. They don't use exaggerated gestures to command attention. They move with purpose and calm. Their smile feels unforced. Their handshake feels balanced, firm, not overpowering. Their body language whispers, I'm comfortable in who I am. That quiet confidence creates safety, because people can feel the difference between tension and peace. And peace always wins attention, more than performance. The social grace of humility. Humility is elegance of the soul. It's what makes confidence beautiful. Without humility, confidence becomes arrogance. With humility, confidence becomes warmth. The graceful person doesn't need to prove anything. They already know their value. And because they know it, they don't need to compete. They uplift others instead. They celebrate success without jealousy. They share space easily. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less often. It's turning your attention outward, being genuinely curious, allowing others to shine. That's what makes your presence comforting instead of intimidating. Graceful people leave others feeling better about themselves, not smaller. That's the true sign of maturity, how you make others feel in your strength. The rule of generosity. Social grace thrives in generosity, not of money, but of spirit. Give people your attention. Give them patience. Give them understanding when they stumble. Generosity of spirit is felt in how you respond to mistakes. When someone falters, don't embarrass them. When someone apologizes, don't punish them with silence. Let grace fill the gap where pride wants to stand. Generosity is remembering that everyone is fighting a battle you can't see, that everyone carries invisible weight. So instead of judging, you choose kindness. Instead of reacting, you choose compassion. That's social grace, the ability to be kind, even when you could be critical, the quiet strength of restraint. Not every thought deserves expression. Not every truth deserves timing. Restraint is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's emotional self-control that protects harmony. Graceful people don't need to have the last word. They don't seek victory in conversation. They seek understanding. They know that arguing to win destroys the balance of respect. Restraint shows power, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be felt. When you practice restraint, you become a calming presence in any situation. Your words carry more weight because they are few and measured. In a noisy world, that quiet strength becomes irresistible. Grace in everyday life. Social grace is not about formal manners or fancy etiquette. It's about emotional wisdom practiced daily. It's how you handle disappointment without bitterness, how you thank people without expectation, how you keep dignity even when others lose theirs. Grace is what remains when everything else is stripped away. Your tone, your patience, your heart. It's the light you carry when things don't go your way. It's the calm you offer when others are breaking. The more you live with grace, the more life flows effortlessly around you, because people trust your peace. They crave your energy. They feel safe in your presence. Grace turns ordinary interaction into harmony. It makes communication feel like connection, and connection feel like belonging. In the end, social grace isn't about perfection. It's about balance, strength and softness, clarity and compassion, truth and tact. When you master it, you don't just become likable, you become unforgettable. Because while charm can attract attention, grace earns respect, and respect, once earned through kindness, lasts far longer than any words you'll ever say. That's the quiet beauty of social grace. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it's powerful enough to change every room you walk into. Chapter 9. The Psychology of Charisma. Charisma isn't magic. It's not about looks, fame, or a perfect smile. It's the art of making people feel seen, understood, and inspired, all at once. Charisma is emotional electricity. You can't touch it, but you can feel it the moment someone walks into a room. It's in the way they carry themselves, the warmth in their tone, the ease in their presence. They don't force attention. They attract it. They don't demand respect. They earn it effortlessly. Charisma is not a performance. It's alignment between confidence, empathy, and authenticity. It's when your energy, intention, and words all move in the same rhythm. When you master that rhythm, people don't just listen to you, they feel you. That's the psychology of charisma. It's not manipulation. It's emotional mastery turned outward. It's knowing how to make people feel valued without pretending to be perfect. The foundation, presence. Charisma begins with presence. Not charm, not cleverness, presence. When someone with charisma talks to you, it feels like you're the only person in the world. Their attention doesn't drift. Their eyes don't wander. Their energy locks in. That's the secret focus. The mind of a charismatic person isn't scattered. They don't multitask emotion. They give you full attention, and that attention makes you feel significant. Presence communicates respect, and respect creates attraction. It's not the loud that leads. It's the fully present that people follow, because presence says, you matter right now. And that's the feeling people crave more than anything. Authentic confidence. Charisma thrives on confidence, but not the loud, showy kind. Not arrogance masked as strength. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It radiates calm instead of control. It's knowing who you are and being at peace with who you're not. When you meet someone truly confident, you feel safe, not intimidated. Their strength doesn't compete, it includes. That's why confidence mixed with humility becomes irresistible, because when people feel both your certainty and your openness, they relax. They trust you. They want to listen. The psychology behind it is simple. We're drawn to people whose energy feels stable, and stability comes from self-acceptance. Charisma doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being real and secure in your flaws. Emotional warmth. If confidence is the backbone of charisma, warmth is its heartbeat. Without warmth, confidence becomes cold. Without confidence, warmth becomes weakness. Charisma is the perfect balance of both. Warmth is communicated through tone, eyes, posture, and care. It's the softness that says, "I'm strong, but I'm safe." People are drawn to warmth because it signals acceptance. It tells their nervous system, "You can be yourself here." That's why the most charismatic people aren't always the most powerful. They're the ones who make others feel powerful. They smile with sincerity. They laugh easily. They listen more than they speak. Their presence doesn't just impress, it heals. Because charisma is not about being adored. It's about making people feel worthy. The charismatic mindset. Charisma begins in how you think about people. If you see others as competition, your energy will always carry tension. If you see others as potential allies, your energy will carry peace. Charismatic people assume the best in others. They expect connection, not conflict. They approach every interaction with curiosity, not judgment. That mindset changes everything. When your thoughts are open, your body language follows. When your energy is kind, your words soften naturally. People can feel your intent before you speak. They can sense whether you came to impress or to connect. The charismatic person always chooses connection. They don't talk at people, they talk with them. They don't try to outshine. They try to align. And that alignment creates comfort. Comfort creates trust. And trust creates influence. That's the psychology of magnetism, the power of empathy. Charisma isn't dominance, it's understanding. It's reading emotion in real time and responding with precision. Empathy allows you to meet people where they are, not where you want them to be. It means feeling someone's emotion without drowning in it. It means validating their experience without losing your center. Empathy turns conversation into connection. When people feel you get them, they stop performing. They open up. They start listening back. That's why empathy is the secret layer of influence. It makes people feel emotionally safe. Charismatic people don't use empathy as a tactic. They live it as a habit. They notice shifts in tone. They catch the unspoken. They sense discomfort and adjust without being asked. That's social awareness in action. The invisible skill that makes charisma feel effortless. Emotional regulation, the hidden strength. The psychology of charisma is not built on charm. It's built on composure. When chaos rises, the charismatic person stays calm. They don't react impulsively. They respond with clarity. Their energy doesn't spike. It stabilizes. That emotional steadiness earns respect faster than words ever can. Because people naturally trust those who remain grounded when things get hard. You can't fake composure. It comes from self-mastery. It's a result of emotional control developed over time. The one who can stay centered in chaos becomes the anchor everyone looks to. That's charisma, not flash, not noise, but presence under pressure. The body speaks before words. Your body language is the first voice of charisma. When your posture is open, your energy feels welcoming. When your gestures are natural, your confidence feels real. When your eye contact is steady but kind, you project both power and peace. Charismatic people know how to use their physical space wisely. They don't rush movements. They don't fidget or shrink. They move deliberately as if their time and space matter. Because it does. Their movements are calm. Their smile is sincere. Their presence feels like harmony. That's why people listen before they even speak. because the body already communicated safety. The emotional signature. Every charismatic person leaves behind an emotional signature. It's the feeling people carry after you're gone. Some people leave rooms feeling drained. Charismatic people leave rooms feeling alive. It's not about perfection. It's about impact. When your presence uplifts, you don't need to chase opportunities. They find you. When people associate you with positive energy, your reputation grows quietly but powerfully. That's the real influence. Not the noise you make, but the peace you leave behind. Vulnerability and realness. Charisma is not pretending to have it all together. It's showing that you're human, that you struggle, laugh, and learn like everyone else. Vulnerability makes confidence believable. It adds texture to your strength. It tells people, I'm not above you, I'm with you. Charismatic people are comfortable saying, I was wrong. I don't know. That was hard for me. That honesty builds instant trust. Because people connect to your humanity, not your perfection. In a world of masks, authenticity is magnetic. The science behind the feeling. Charisma works because of emotional contagion. The scientific truth that emotions are contagious. Your nervous system synchronizes with the people around you. If you radiate warmth and calm, their bodies start to mirror that state. That's why people feel better just being near charismatic individuals. They regulate others simply through their emotional stability. It's not manipulation, it's biology. The energy you project becomes the emotion others feel. So when your presence is grounded in peace, people unconsciously trust you. That's why the best communicators are emotionally disciplined, because their control calms everyone around them. Charisma is energy in alignment. Everything comes back to alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and behavior are in harmony, people sense it. You feel authentic. You sound confident. You move naturally. There's no gap between who you are and how you show up. That's why charismatic people are consistent. What you see is what you get. They don't wear masks. They don't switch personalities. Their authenticity creates reliability, and reliability creates attraction. People crave stability, and charisma is emotional stability, wrapped in warmth. Becoming charismatic. Charisma isn't a gift, it's a skill. It's built slowly, through awareness and practice. Start with presence. Be where you are. Then cultivate confidence. Trust your voice. Add empathy. Feel without losing yourself. And refine your energy. Keep it calm, open, and real. The combination of these four, presence, confidence, empathy, and energy, creates the magnetic frequency of charisma. It's not about being liked by everyone. It's about leaving everyone better than you found them. That's the true essence of charisma. When you walk away, people shouldn't say, they were amazing. They should say, I feel amazing after talking to them. That's how you know you've mastered it. When your presence becomes a gift, your energy becomes healing, and your communication becomes connection. Because in the end, charisma isn't about shining alone. It's about lighting others up. Chapter 10, Influence Without Words. You don't always need to speak to influence. Sometimes, the most powerful things are said in silence. Real influence doesn't come from loudness. It comes from presence, from the quiet authority that moves people without needing to command them. The way you look at someone, the way you move, the stillness in your breath. Those things communicate louder than your voice ever could. Because communication is not just verbal. It's energetic. It's emotional. It's spiritual. When your presence is grounded, your silence speaks confidence. When your eyes carry empathy, your calm becomes contagious. Influence without words is not about control. It's about connection. It's when your energy tells a story before your mouth even opens. The power of silent presence. Think of the people who command attention without trying. They don't need to shout. They don't need to demand respect. It's the way they stand, the way they breathe, the peace that follows them when they walk into a room. That's silent influence. Presence carries more weight than persuasion. When you walk into a space fully aware, fully calm, fully grounded, people feel it. You become a mirror that reflects stability in others. Your calm becomes a quiet permission for them to calm down too. That's not coincidence, it's resonance. Human beings respond to emotional frequencies. And when your frequency vibrates with peace and clarity, people unconsciously adjust to match it. That's why influence begins inside you, not outside. It's not about what you say, it's about the energy you hold. If your mind is cluttered, your energy will scatter. If your mind is centered, your energy will stabilize everyone around you. That's the first law of wordless influence. People feel your inner world before they hear your outer words. The language of energy. Everything about you speaks energy. Your eyes, your posture, your breathing, your timing. Energy is the language beneath all languages. You don't have to translate it. People feel it instantly. When you're peaceful, people sense it. When you're tense, they sense that too. Your energy announces your emotions before your words can disguise them. That's why socially intelligent people prioritize emotional hygiene. They clean their inner state before stepping into important spaces. You can't carry chaos and expect connection. You can't carry insecurity and expect trust. Influence starts when your energy feels safe. When people sense your calm, they open up. When they sense your judgment, they close off. Your energy is always communicating. So be intentional about what message it sends. The eyes, the window of influence. Before a single word leaves your lips, your eyes have already spoken. They can express confidence, compassion, or curiosity. And each sends a different message. Steady eyes say, "I'm here with you." Kind eyes say, "You're safe." Avoidant eyes say, "I don't care." The eyes are not just organs of sight, they're instruments of emotion. They connect souls before words connect minds. When you look at someone with sincerity, you give them something rare, undivided attention. In that moment, they feel respected. That's influence. Not through logic, but through emotional acknowledgement. You don't need to speak for people to feel your care. You just need to see them fully. The weight of posture. Posture is the body's version of self-respect. It communicates how much you value yourself and how others should treat you. Stand straight, but relaxed. Move slowly, but with purpose. Hold your ground without stiffness. That's how influence looks before it speaks. When your posture is balanced, you project calm confidence. When it's weak or tense, you project uncertainty. Socially intelligent people use posture as an emotional anchor. They stand firm not to intimidate, but to stabilize the space they're in. People feel safe when they're around stability. That's the secret. Influence is not dominance, it's emotional gravity. The more grounded you are, the more people orbit around your peace. The energy of listening. Influence without words often happens through how you listen. When you truly listen, not just to words, but to emotions, the other person feels understood. Understanding is influence. You don't have to convince people who feel heard. You don't have to dominate people who feel respected. Listening communicates humility. It tells people your thoughts matter, and that feeling creates trust faster than any argument can. Most people talk to reply. The few who listen to understand, they lead. Silence becomes powerful when it's paired with empathy. Because silence, when filled with presence, becomes emotional healing. The power of stillness. Stillness is the secret weapon of influence. When the world rushes, stillness becomes rare. When everyone is loud, calm becomes magnetic. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It's the mastery of it. A still person doesn't freeze. They move with awareness. They don't react instantly. They respond intentionally. That's what makes stillness powerful. It gives people room to breathe, to think, to feel. Your stillness in a storm says more than your speeches ever could. It tells the world, I'm not shaken by what shakes others. That kind of energy draws respect, naturally. Because people don't follow noise. They follow peace, non-verbal synchrony. Every human interaction is like a dance. The rhythm between two people defines the outcome. When your gestures, tone, and timing match someone else's emotional pace, connection deepens. You don't have to mimic. You just have to attune. When they lean forward, you lean in slightly. When they slow down, you slow down. When they laugh, you share their rhythm. This non-verbal synchronization tells their subconscious, we're on the same wavelength. That's influence without effort. Because people trust those who feel familiar, and familiarity comes from energetic harmony. Socially intelligent people do this naturally. They don't manipulate the dance, they flow with it. And through that flow, they guide emotions gently, without saying a single word. The subtle art of space. Influence also lives in how you handle distance. Too close, and you overwhelm. Too far, and you disconnect. The right amount of physical space communicates respect. It tells people, I see your boundary, and I honor it. That comfort creates openness. When people feel physically and emotionally safe around you, they stop guarding themselves. They open their minds, and that's when true influence begins. You can't lead people who feel unsafe, but when your presence feels balanced, they follow your calm naturally. That's the unspoken geometry of social intelligence. Knowing how to occupy space gracefully. The influence of energy exchange. Every interaction is an exchange of energy, and the one with the strongest emotional control leads. That doesn't mean control others. It means control yourself. When someone becomes agitated, and you stay composed, you shift the emotional balance. When they get defensive, and you stay kind, you rewire the atmosphere. Influence without words happens when you maintain emotional neutrality. Your calm doesn't absorb their chaos. Your peace doesn't surrender to their noise. Eventually they tune to your frequency. That's mastery. Not through argument, but through energy regulation. The quiet power of example. The most enduring influence comes from example, not explanation. People watch you more than they hear you. They notice your discipline. They observe how you treat others when no one's watching. That silent consistency builds credibility. You don't have to announce your principles. You just have to live them. Your integrity becomes your message. Your actions become your language. And over time, that silent influence builds a reputation louder than any speech. Because in a world obsessed with noise, your consistency becomes a signal. Emotional gravity. Every person has an emotional center, a gravity that pulls others in. When your inner world is peaceful, your gravity is strong. When your mind is chaotic, your energy repels. You don't have to convince anyone to respect you. You just have to radiate stability. People naturally move toward what feels centered. They instinctively seek those who stay calm in chaos. That's why the quiet ones often have the deepest influence. Their stillness becomes a refuge. Their silence feels like home. That's emotional gravity, the invisible magnetism of balance. Influence as energy discipline. Influence without words is energy discipline. It's learning how to remain emotionally clear, mentally sharp, and spiritually calm, no matter what's happening around you. It's walking into tension and diffusing it with your presence alone. It's listening with empathy while holding your boundaries. It's being strong enough to stay soft. When you master energy discipline, you lead without asking for leadership. You inspire without seeking attention. You influence without effort. That's true charisma, power that doesn't speak, yet everyone hears it. The legacy of quiet influence. The people who leave the deepest mark on our lives rarely said the most words. They showed us how to live by example, how to love by action, how to stay calm when the world wasn't. Their silence carried wisdom. Their gaze carried truth. Their consistency carried safety. That's influence at its highest form. Not noise, not pressure, but peace. When your energy becomes that kind of presence, you don't have to convince, prove, or persuade. Your life speaks louder than your language, because influence without words is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself so deeply that your presence changes the emotional temperature of any room you enter. That's not magic. That's mastery. Leadership isn't about titles. Chapter 11. The emotional intelligence of leadership. It's not about authority or position. It's about emotional influence. True leadership doesn't begin in strategy. The ability to guide hearts, not just hands. It's the art of understanding people deeply. It begins in empathy and leading them from that understanding. You can have the sharpest intellect, the strongest will, the clearest vision, but without emotional intelligence, you'll never truly lead. Because people don't follow commands, they follow connection. They don't trust orders, they trust presence. The emotionally intelligent leader understands that leadership is not control. It's service. It's about bringing out the best in others by becoming the calm they can depend on. Leadership begins in the heart, not the head. Logic may guide decisions, the heart before the head, but emotion drives behavior. You can't inspire those you never take time to feel with. You can't lead people you don't understand. They sense tone before giving direction. An emotionally intelligent leader reads the room before making demands. They notice silence as much as speech. Behind every mistake is fear. They know that behind every task is a person, and behind every success is emotion. They don't rush to criticize, they pause to understand. They don't lead through fear, they lead through trust. Because when people feel seen, they listen. They give their best. When they feel safe, and that's where leadership transforms from management into mentorship. Emotional awareness, the inner compass. To lead others, you must first lead yourself. Emotional awareness is that inner compass. It means being honest about what you feel, and disciplined enough not to project it on others. You pause instead of punishing. When you're frustrated, when you're uncertain, you reflect instead of reacting. The emotionally aware leader knows that the mood of the leader sets the mood of the room. If you're chaotic, your team will become anxious. If you're calm, they'll breathe easier. Your energy becomes the climate everyone else adapts to. So before you manage others, manage your inner weather. That's where leadership begins, in the invisible discipline of emotion. The power of empathy in leadership. Empathy is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the bridge between authority and trust. A leader who listens, who observes, who feels, will always outperform one who simply instructs. Empathy allows you to see beyond the surface, to notice the silent struggles, to understand what motivates, to sense when morale dips before anyone says it. It doesn't mean you absorb everyone's pain. It means you understand it well enough to guide them through it. When a leader says, "I understand what you're feeling, and we'll face it together," that's when loyalty is born. Empathy builds trust, and trust builds teams that last. Because people don't quit jobs, they quit leaders who fail to feel the calm within chaos. Every leader faces chaos, but what separates the great ones from the rest is how they respond to it. The emotionally intelligent leader doesn't get louder when things go wrong. They don't panic when plans fall apart. They get quieter. They anchor the team in stability. They know that panic spreads faster than truth. So they regulate themselves first. Their calm presence becomes the invisible hand that steadies everyone else. When people see you staying composed under pressure, they don't just respect you, they trust you. Because leadership is not about solving every problem immediately. Communication with heart. It's about being the steady center while others lose direction. Words from the mouth reach ears. Words from the heart reach souls. An emotionally intelligent leader communicates not just to inform, but to inspire. They don't speak to prove authority. They speak to ignite belief. Their tone carries patience. Their body language mirrors confidence. Their words carry clarity. They use communication as connection, not a weapon, not a show. When you speak with emotional awareness, people don't just hear you, they feel seen by you. A great leader knows how to be kind without being soft. That's how influence becomes lasting. The balance of firmness and compassion. They know when to hold space and when to set boundaries. Emotional intelligence means balance. They know when to comfort and when to challenge. The balance between heart and backbone. If you lead with only compassion, you risk losing structure. If you lead with only authority, you lose loyalty. True leadership blends both. It sets expectations clearly. It says, I believe in you, but never strips away dignity. That balance makes people grow. And also, I expect your best. They rise because they know you care, and they stay because they know you're fair. Emotional contagion. The ripple effect. The emotions of a leader ripple through every layer of an organization. Your team mirrors your emotional state, even when you think they don't. If you walk in with stress, the tension spreads silently. If you walk in with composure, the calm expands effortlessly. This is called emotional contagion, and emotionally intelligent leaders use it consciously. They don't fake positivity, they embody stability. They know that consistency of energy builds security in others, so they become the thermostat, not the thermometer. They don't just measure the environment, they set it. Leading through listening. Leadership is not about always having the answer. Listening is how a leader earns respect without demanding it. It's how you discover truths no one dares to say. It's about listening deeply enough to find the right one together. It's how you catch problems before they become crises. An emotionally intelligent leader doesn't rush to speak. They create space for others to be heard. Because when people feel heard, they take ownership. They start thinking, not just following. And that's how leadership turns into empowerment. Emotional resilience. No leader is free from stress. They don't let failure define them. But emotionally intelligent leaders recover faster. They extract wisdom from it. They understand that resilience isn't ignoring pain. When challenges come, it's processing it without letting it poison you. They don't collapse, they adapt. They stay anchored in values, steady in focus, and flexible in approach. That steadiness becomes contagious, because when your team sees you rise after falling, they believe they can too. That's leadership through example, the most powerful kind. Building emotional safety. No team thrives in fear. Fear silences creativity. Fear kills honesty. An emotionally intelligent leader creates emotional safety, a culture where people can speak without fear, fail without shame, and grow without judgment. When people feel emotionally safe, they innovate, they collaborate. That's not softness, that's strategy. They take responsibility. Because emotional safety is the foundation of performance. People don't give their best to those who intimidate them. They give their best to those who inspire them. The best leaders are also the most self-aware. They question themselves before questioning others. Self-reflection. The mirror of leadership. They ask. They reflect after every conflict, every decision, every outcome. Did I listen well? Did I react or respond? Did I lead from ego or from empathy? That reflection keeps their ego in check. It keeps their humanity intact, because emotional intelligence isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, and awareness creates evolution. When you know yourself, you can lead yourself. And when you can lead yourself, you can lead anyone. Leadership as emotional legacy, but emotional impact lasts forever. A title can be taken away. People may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how they felt under your leadership. They'll remember how you made the hard days bearable, how you gave direction when confusion reigned, how your calm made chaos feel smaller. That's emotional intelligence in action. Not loud, not forceful, but unforgettable. The emotionally intelligent leader doesn't lead from power. They lead from purpose. They don't lead to be admired. They lead to make others stronger. The quiet truth of great leadership. That's legacy. At its core, leadership is emotional work. It's the courage to stay kind, the strength to stay patient, the wisdom to stay humble. Anyone can give orders. Few can give understanding. Anyone can demand results. Few can inspire them through compassion. Emotionally intelligent leadership is not about control. It's about connection. It's when you know how to guide hearts, not just manage hands. It's when you choose empathy over ego, clarity over chaos, peace over pride. Because the mark of a great leader isn't how many people follow them, but how many they lift up to lead themselves. That's the true essence of leadership, not commanding from the top, but empowering from the center. Quietly, steadily, with heart. Chapter 12. The Power of Emotional Influence. Influence isn't about control. It's about connection. It's not about getting people to do what you want. It's about helping them feel what you mean. That's emotional influence, the ability to shape energy, emotion, and understanding through presence, empathy, and truth. You don't influence people by force. You influence them by feeling. Because emotion always moves before logic does. People rarely remember what you told them, but they never forget how you made them feel. Emotional influence is the quiet force that turns communication into transformation. It's how leaders inspire, how friends comfort, how strangers connect. You don't need volume. You don't need perfection. You just need authenticity that resonates. When your emotion carries honesty, your influence carries weight. The root of emotional power. Emotion is energy in motion. It's the invisible current that moves human behavior. Every word, every gesture, every silence, they all transmit emotion. And people are constantly responding to that transmission, often without realizing it. The emotionally intelligent person understands this. They know that every interaction is a moment of influence, a chance to raise or lower the emotional vibration of someone else. So they choose their energy carefully. They don't walk into rooms carrying tension. They don't communicate from ego. They speak from calm, from understanding, from truth, because they know that influence begins within. If you can't master your own emotions, you can't guide anyone else's. Emotional influence is self-regulation, made visible. It's control without suppression, strength without aggression, compassion without weakness. It's emotional clarity that others feel the moment you enter the room. The emotional mirror. Every person you meet becomes your mirror. They reflect back the emotion you bring to them. If you bring frustration, you'll receive resistance. If you bring empathy, you'll receive openness. If you bring calm, you'll create trust. That's not philosophy, that's biology. Human nervous system syncs subconsciously. So when you remain emotionally steady, you regulate everyone around you. That's the real secret of influence. It's not about words, it's about regulation. You can calm a room without speaking. You can shift energy just by staying composed. Because your peace communicates louder than your pressure. The emotional temperature of influence. Every interaction has a temperature. Some people raise it, some cool it down. A heated tone can escalate conflict in seconds, but one calm response can dissolve it instantly. Emotional influence is knowing how to adjust that temperature intentionally. When someone is angry, you lower the heat. When someone is discouraged, you raise the warmth. When someone is anxious, you steady the air. That's how emotional intelligence becomes emotional leadership, not through control, but through awareness. You don't fight emotion with more emotion. You balance it with presence. That's how you change outcomes without arguments. You change energy first. Influence through empathy. Empathy is the most powerful form of influence because it speaks directly to the human heart. When you listen without interrupting, when you understand without judging, people open up to your energy. Empathy doesn't mean you agree. It means you care enough to understand. That understanding makes people feel safe. and safety makes them receptive. The emotionally intelligent influencer doesn't push, they align. They don't demand, they connect. And in that connection, they create transformation. Because once someone feels understood, they stop resisting. You don't have to convince them anymore. They begin to see things from your energy, not just your logic. That's real persuasion. Not through argument, but through emotion. The silent transfer of emotion. There's a kind of influence that doesn't need speech. You feel it in a glance, a nod, a pause. It's in the energy you project when you enter a space. Steady, grounded, kind. That's the silent transfer of emotion. The invisible communication of energy. You've felt it before. You've met people whose calm slowed your racing thoughts. You've stood near someone whose energy made you smile for no reason. That's emotional influence in its purest form. The way you feel changes the way others feel. So if you want to lift people, raise your own energy first. If you want to inspire hope, let hope live inside you. If you want others to trust you, be at peace with yourself. Your emotion doesn't stay with you. It travels, and it leaves a mark long after you've left. The weight of emotional consistency. People don't follow what's unpredictable. They trust what's steady. Consistency is the foundation of emotional influence. If your mood changes with every moment, your energy becomes confusing. But when your tone, your behavior, and your presence remain stable, people feel safe around you. Because safety is what creates connection. Not charm, not wit, not knowledge. You can't build influence on inconsistency, but you can build lifelong trust through emotional steadiness. That's why emotional intelligence isn't about controlling emotion. It's about mastering how you express it. You can feel everything deeply, but still respond with grace. That balance, that restraint, is what earns respect silently. People may not say it out loud, but they remember it forever. Influence through emotional storytelling. Emotion is the bridge between message and memory. That's why great communicators tell stories not to entertain, but to emotionally connect. When you share a story with honesty, people see themselves in it. They feel your message, not just hear it. Storytelling is emotional resonance in motion. It bypasses logic and speaks to the soul. But storytelling isn't about drama. It's about truth, delivered with heart. You don't have to perform to influence. You just have to be real enough to be remembered. The right story, told with sincerity, can change how someone sees the world. And that's the essence of emotional influence. The frequency of authenticity. Your authenticity has a frequency. It vibrates at a level people can feel. You can't fake authenticity. The energy won't match. People might not know why, but they'll sense when your words and your energy don't align. Emotional influence happens only when your truth and your tone move together. When you say, "I believe in you," and your voice, your eyes, and your silence all agree, people feel it. That alignment is magnetic. Because authenticity doesn't just build connection, it builds credibility. You become trustworthy not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And in a world full of masks, realness is rare enough to move people deeply. Emotional boundaries, the strength within compassion. Emotional influence doesn't mean absorbing everyone's pain. It means being so emotionally aware that you can feel someone's emotion without drowning in it. Boundaries protect your influence. If you lose your emotional balance, you lose your ability to guide others. Compassion without boundaries becomes exhaustion, but compassion with awareness becomes power. The emotionally intelligent influencer knows when to help and when to step back. They don't fix everyone. They inspire others to fix themselves. That's the quiet difference between saviors and leaders. One takes pain away. The other teaches peace. The ripple effect of emotional energy. Every emotion you project ripples through the people you touch. Your joy lifts. Your calm grounds. Your frustration infects. Your kindness heals. That's why emotional influence carries responsibility. The moment you walk into a space, you're shaping its atmosphere. Every tone, every gesture, every pause, it's all energy exchange. The wise influencer enters with awareness. They don't rush. They don't impose. They observe first, then move with intention. They know that energy always returns amplified, so they give peace. And peace comes back multiplied. That's the invisible math of emotion. Influence that lasts. Words fade. Emotions remain. When you influence someone emotionally, you leave an imprint far beyond the conversation. They might forget your exact sentences, but they'll remember the safety they felt with you. They'll remember the confidence you restored in them. They'll remember the lightness they carried after you left. That's legacy, the emotional residue of your presence. You can build careers. You can build companies. But if you build people emotionally, your influence becomes timeless. Because emotions outlive logic. They echo long after the sound of your words disappear. The highest form of emotional influence, is not when you control how people feel, but when your presence helps them find their best self. It's not about being admired. It's about being remembered for the peace you gave. You influence best when your energy aligns with empathy, when your presence speaks compassion, when your silence radiates strength. The power of emotional influence isn't loud, it's felt. It's not seen, it's remembered. It's the difference between being known and being felt. And when your emotion becomes that kind of energy, pure, grounded, honest, you'll find that you no longer need to persuade. You'll simply inspire. Chapter 13, Becoming a Socially Intelligent Soul. At the end of everything, beyond skill, beyond strategy, beyond all techniques, what remains is soul. Because social intelligence is not a tool. It's a way of being. It's not about what you know. It's about who you become when you know yourself deeply. To be a socially intelligent soul is to live awake, to feel what others feel, to understand before reacting, to walk through life with calm awareness instead of chaos. It's not perfection. It's presence. It's the quiet mastery of emotion and empathy. It's the ability to move through this noisy world without losing your gentleness, without surrendering your peace. When you reach this level, you no longer try to impress. You begin to express, not through noise, but through energy, not through power, but through peace. That's when you stop performing connection and start living it. The journey within. Everything starts within you. You can't understand others if you're disconnected from yourself. You can't read emotion if you ignore your own. You can't bring peace to others if you're constantly battling yourself. Social intelligence begins where self-awareness begins. It's the courage to look inward and meet the parts of you that still need healing. It's the patience to sit with discomfort and not project it on others. The socially intelligent soul doesn't run from their emotions. They walk with them. They don't suppress pain. They listen to it, learn from it, release it. Because when you make peace with your inner storms, you stop creating storms outside. That's where emotional maturity blooms. That's where true understanding begins. Awareness, the silent revolution. Awareness changes everything. The moment you start noticing, you start evolving. Noticing your tone, noticing your reactions, noticing how your words land on someone's heart. This noticing is the foundation of transformation. You can't grow what you don't see. You can't heal what you don't feel. The socially intelligent soul lives in awareness, always observing, never judging. They see patterns. They catch emotions early. They sense energy before it explodes into conflict. This awareness turns life into a kind of meditation. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to stay conscious, to choose peace instead of ego, to respond instead of react. That's how wisdom becomes daily practice. The balance of heart and mind. Social intelligence is not emotion alone. It's the harmony between emotion and reason. The heart feels, the mind translates. Together, they create understanding. Too much heart without thought leads to chaos. Too much thought without heart leads to coldness. The socially intelligent soul moves between both with grace. They can feel deeply without drowning. They can think clearly without disconnecting. They know when to hold emotion close and when to let reason lead the way. That balance is what makes their presence feel grounded. They carry sensitivity without fragility. They carry strength without arrogance. That's emotional wisdom in motion. Firm, yet fluid. Gentle, yet steady. Compassion as a way of life. At its highest level, social intelligence becomes compassion. Not selective compassion, not the kind that only shows up when it's convenient, but a state of being. It's when you can look at someone, even someone who wronged you, and say quietly in your heart, "I understand." Not because you approve, but because you've learned what pain does to people. Compassion doesn't mean allowing harm. It means recognizing humanity, the shared struggle beneath every action. The socially intelligent soul knows this truth. Everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they have, and that awareness allows forgiveness, not for their sake, but for your peace, because resentment blocks empathy, and empathy is the path back to light. When compassion becomes your default, you stop fighting the world. You start healing it silently, through energy, through grace. The energy you carry. Your energy is your real language. Before you say a word, your energy introduces you. It tells people whether you're safe, whether you're peaceful, whether you're hiding behind noise or radiating quiet confidence. The socially intelligent soul protects their energy like sacred ground. They rest when they need to. They recharge in solitude. They walk away from spaces that shrink their spirit, because they understand you can't pour peace into others from an empty cup. So they cultivate stillness. They meditate. They breathe slowly. They practice gratitude like a daily ritual. Their energy becomes calm and grounded, like steady water in a restless world. And that calm begins to heal others too, without words, without effort. That's emotional leadership at its purest, being the peace others didn't know they needed, the art of letting go. Social intelligence also means knowing when to let go, of control, of expectations, of people who refuse to grow. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. You learn that not everyone will match your vibration. Not everyone can meet you with the same awareness. And that's okay. The socially intelligent soul doesn't chase understanding. They offer it freely and walk away peacefully if it's not received. Because you can't teach calm to those who feed on chaos. You can only live it. Letting go is not loss. It's space. Space for new growth, for deeper peace, for lighter energy. That's how your influence grows, not by holding tighter, but by releasing gracefully, listening as presence. The most socially intelligent people are often the best listeners, because listening is love made practical. When you listen deeply, you give others the gift of visibility. You tell them, "I see you, I hear you, I honor your truth." The socially intelligent soul doesn't listen to respond. They listen to understand. They know that silence can heal more than advice ever will, that presence can comfort more than words. Their listening becomes sanctuary, a space where others can exhale, and that's what makes them unforgettable. People remember how they felt in your presence, not what you said. Emotional maturity. The final lesson. At the core of social intelligence is maturity, the kind that doesn't come from age, but from awareness. It's when you stop needing to win every argument, because peace feels better than pride. It's when you stop reacting to negativity, because you've learned that not everything deserves your energy. It's when you stop judging pain, because you've recognized your own reflection in it. Emotional maturity is quiet strength, not defensive, not loud, but deeply rooted in self-control. It's when you no longer seek validation, because your self-worth no longer depends on noise. You live in alignment with your values, your peace, your truth. That alignment is what makes you magnetic. People feel your stability, and they trust it. They lean into it, because your calm becomes their compass, becoming the light. To be a socially intelligent soul is to be light, not in perfection, but in presence. It's to walk into rooms and make them softer, to meet strangers and make them feel seen, to disagree without disrespect, to lead without ego, to love without fear. It's not something you force, it's something you become. It's when empathy becomes instinct and kindness becomes effortless. You no longer speak for attention, you speak for alignment. You no longer react, you respond with awareness. You start radiating peace, because you've made peace your nature. That's what it means to be truly socially intelligent, to live with emotional clarity, to love with open awareness, to lead with quiet grace. Because in the end, it's not about being admired, it's about being remembered for the peace you gave, the understanding you offered, and the calm you carried into every heart you touched. That is the true legacy of a socially intelligent soul, to move through this world, as light moves through darkness, without noise, without force, just silently illuminating everything around it,